Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Wednesday, 2nd October 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Style of opposition leader questioned in St. Kitts and Nevis, when in fact it ought to be the model for the rest of the region. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Leader of opposition in the National Assembly of St. Kitts and Nevis, Mark Brantley, has often been criticized for not taking a more anti-government and aggressive stance during sittings of the Parliament. During his September press conference, as Premier of Nevis Island Administration, Brantley was asked to address the criticisms that have repeatedly been raised in some quarters. Glenn Bard of SKN Newsline reports.
But I've had the benefit now of some experience in government. I've seen it from both sides. I've had the experience now of age, and I believe with age should come some wisdom. And I'm realizing that the country, already small and already polarized, does not and cannot benefit if the politicians continue to withhold their ideas because they happen to be in opposition. If they continue to lie and distort what a government might be trying to do. So I come here today and I tell you Aspire sounds like a good program. If it's implemented right, it could be transformational. That's not me abdicating my responsibility as leader of the opposition. When we had our meeting yesterday with the Cabinet Secretary, we shared with him some views that we had that could make the program even better. I don't believe that opposition is there only to be vitriolic, to be negative, and to offer criticism. If people pay attention to what I've been saying since I am back in Parliament as leader of the opposition, I have tried wherever possible to offer my critique of what is proposed, but also to offer my suggestions as to how it can be made better. And I will tell you that in my experience, you get more done. If you come in and you start to cuss and say, are you stupid, and are you crazy, and are you this, and are you that, the hackles go up and people tend to become very defensive. But if rather you go in and you say, okay, I see what you're doing here, but I suggest that this might help, you find that just the tone and the approach, people say, well, yeah, that's a good idea, let's incorporate it. And you get more done that way. So there will be a time, no doubt, for the politics and the pick-on and the back and forth. But I think the country would benefit from politicians who exhibit some maturity and understand that at the end of the day, a rise in St. Kitts and Nevis, a good quality of life in St. Kitts and Nevis, benefits everybody.
Some political pundits have said the political dynamics in the Federation has been steadily evolving, especially with the younger generation of the electorate. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
Adapt, innovate, and steer the course. These words formed the basis of the 2024-25 budget presentation in Trinidad and Tobago, themed Steadfast and Resolute, Forging Pathways to Prosperity. This 10th budget presented by Minister of Finance Colm Imbert included a number of fiscal measures that will continue to push the country's economic standing forward. TTT's Ayana Carter has the details.
Despite a hostile economic environment between 2016 and 2019 due to global factors including geopolitical tensions, Minister of Finance Colm Imbert seemed hopeful for this country's economic future.
We not only rebounded, but our economy is stronger and more resilient now than it was before COVID-19.
Minister Imbert boasted about this country's increase in revenue despite the drastic reduction due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the severe reduction of oil and gas prices, and declining production. He said government revenue is $3.6 billion more than it was in 2019. This and increased expenditure, according to the minister, is proof of sustained economic growth. The minister noted that despite oil and gas continuing to be the major contributor to this country's revenue, more emphasis must be made into other non-energy sectors, especially over the next 2 years.
However, because oil and gas are diminishing resources and commodity prices are volatile, we must continue to support, build, and strengthen the non-energy sector, while simultaneously reinforcing the resilience and sustainability of our energy industries.
The finance minister noted that the Heritage and Stabilization Fund continues to thrive.
As of today, September 30th, 2024, our gross official reserves stand at US $5.5 billion, or 7.7 months of import cover, and the Heritage and Stabilization Fund stands at an impressive US $6.1 billion, despite substantial withdrawals during the COVID-19 period and afterwards, totaling more than US, confirming the prudent management of the fund.
In relation to property tax, an online payment solution is expected to come into effect on or before October 31st.
Cognizant of lingering issues with some valuations, we have also extended the deadline for the Board of Inland Revenue to issue notices of assessment for property tax to October 31st, 2024. This extension will allow the Valuation Division additional time to finalize the assessment of annual rental value and address any adjustments necessary. It also afforded the Board of Inland Revenue additional time to issue notices of assessment to residential property owners and occupiers.
Ayana Carter, TTT News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
At least 2 Caribbean countries want a balanced global financial system. More in this TVJ Business Day report with Ramado Lyons.
And the anger and the mistrust of our citizens and institutions, in leaders, in multilateralism, and in the processes which exclude while yielding much talk and little action is very real.
Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley, in a passionate presentation on day 4 of the general debate as part of the United Nations General Assembly, she called for a reset of financial distribution so there can be equity among developing countries.
And nowhere is reform and consequentially trust and hope more important to the well-being of billions of people today than in relation to the global financial architecture. Restricted access to capital, its disproportionately high costs, barring us from doing that which we must.
Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Davis, shared similar sentiments.
For too long, the global financial system has been skewed against developing nations. It is a cruel irony that industrialized nations who bear the greatest responsibility for the climate crisis often perpetuate another form of injustice in the form of our current global system.
They said inadequate scale and the overwhelming burden of debt are leaving leaders of smaller countries with little to no choice when making decisions for sustainable development.
These are all now combining to force governments in the world's poorest countries, and frankly, across many vulnerable middle-income countries, to devote more resources to debt service than to health and education, and in some instances, even infrastructure.
The present system, with its dark rules and uneven playing field, drains resources from developing countries, leaving us to grapple with the consequences. The Bahamas refuses to accept this double standard.
Romarda Lyons, TVJ News.
For the period January 1st to September 19th, 2024, the Director of Public Prosecutions in Jamaica has handed down rulings for charges in 22 cases investigated by the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM. The update comes as the Commissioner of INDECOM, Hugh Faulkner, reports that investigations have commenced into an additional 3 deaths in custody since September 23rd. CVM's Joel Croskill has the details.
Investigative teams from INDECOM are investigating 3 deaths in custody during the period September 23 to 29, 2024. In 2 of the incidents, the deceased remandees were being held at the Halfway Tree Police Station. Commissioner of the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, Hugh Faulkner, provides additional details.
On September 23, 2024, Mr. David Satchel, 59 years old from Padmore District, St. Andrew, was reportedly found unresponsive in his cell. Mr. Satchel was transferred to the Kingston Public Hospital, where doctors on duty pronounced him dead. On September 27, 2024, Mr. Donovan Phillips, age 68, of a Beeston Street address, was reportedly observed to be in distress in his cell. Mr. Phillips was taken to the Kingston Public Hospital, where he was pronounced dead by the doctor on duty.
In the 3rd case, Mr. Patrick Perry, who on September 21 was remanded by the court and being held at the Buff Bay Police Station, was reportedly assaulted while in custody.
That investigation is in progress. Mr. Perry, who was severely injured, was taken to the Anota Bay Hospital and later transferred to the KPH, where he succumbed to his injuries on September 29, 2024. In matters regarding the death of persons in custody of the state, the INDECOM team interviews law enforcement personnel in addition to persons in custody, canvass for CCTV or any digital footage, collect any forensic material available, attend the post-mortem examination, and utilize material from the post-mortem report to help inform its findings. Lab reports are also critical to the investigative process.
On conclusion of any investigative process, the Commissioner explains that the cases are then submitted to the Director of Public Prosecutions for a ruling.
For the period January 1 this year to September 19 this year, 2024, the Director of Public Prosecutions has handed down rulings for charge in 22 cases investigated by INDECOM. These cases involve JCF officers, Department of Corrections officers, and JDF personnel.
Joel Croskill, CVM News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.